If you are a multi-passionate girl boss who wants to create, write, teach, learn, connect, and take time for herself and her family and friends, you are listening to the right pod. Hi, I'm Lauren Jean, your go-to podcast resource girl and self and business development freak. I love everything related to development, as well as focusing on self-confidence, letting go of control, and following your intuition. All right, let's get down to the good stuff. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today's show is brought to you by Audible. You can get a copy of a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/The Lauren Jean Show. There are over 180,000 titles to choose from, and you can get them for your iPhone, your Android, your Kindle, your MP3 player, however you choose to listen. This is a great opportunity because me as a podcast host and a junkie, I love to listen to other shows. I also can really appreciate the audiobook because I can listen to it on the go. It's great to listen to while I'm working or while I'm walking or while I'm just outside. I can just put it on and listen. And it's great to have that because I love consuming audio. I really find it to be super, super helpful to me. So I can get everything that I want to listen to while I can do other things as well. And in this day of being super busy, right? These are the kinds of things that really help us get everything done. So I just want to tell you a couple of the books that I have downloaded since using this service. Really loving it. I have gotten Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and that is the book I'm actually using to do all these studies for the upcoming shows in August that are going to be on quantum mechanics and kind of goes along with mindfulness and how you can change your life. So that's the first book that I got. The second one is actually by today's guest. His name is JP Sears. He is a riot, and he's got a recent book called How to Be Ultra Spiritual, and it's 12 and a half steps. Yeah, 12 and a half steps. We're going to go into his book, and we just had a wonderful chat. It was nice to talk to him face to face and actually see him because, you know what, he is a real funny person, and how you see him in his videos and how you read his book is exactly his personality. He is a riot. You can just talk to him. I was super comfortable with him, and I really, really had a lot of fun. But before we get into that interview, I just want to tell you the last book that I downloaded from audible.com, and it is You Are a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero. And I read her first book, You Are a Badass, and it was amazing. And to see that she came out with another book along the same lines, you know, branding is the same, and it's just, I can't wait to get into it. So I will share that book once I get into it, but you know, go to Audible and check out the books that you have, and you can get your subscription, and then you get a credit each month so you can get a free book, and it's totally worth it. It really is totally worth it. When I first saw it, I was like, do I really want to become a member? But it's just so paying off. So I really suggest that you try it. At least go over there and get the free book and give it a shot. But without any further ado, let's get right into the interview with JP Sears. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Lauren Jean Show. I have a very special guest on here today whom you probably know of. His name is JP Sears. He is a riot. I will just start with that. JP is an emotional healing coach, YouTuber, author, international teacher, speaker at events, world traveler, and curious student of life. His work empowers people to live more meaningful lives. JP is the author of the new book, How to Be Ultra Spiritual. And he is very active with his online videos, which I do share a lot, where he encourages healing and growth through his humorous and entertainingly informative videos, including his hit Ultra Spiritual comedy series, which he has accumulated over 100 million views. You can learn more about JP and his work at awakenwithjp.com. He is also all over social media. You can find him on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat, all at Awaken with JP. So without any further ado, let's bring him in and let's get chatting. I want to get to know you, JP, as well as talk about your new book that before we got on, I was telling you how amazing it was and also confusing to listen to it. So I'm going to have to get that print version. So let's get into a little bit of background info on you. I did listen to a bunch of other podcasts and I did get some background info. So I think that's definitely important to go over so that people can get to understand you before the crazy, wacky humor that you bring into this world. So go for it. Just share whatever you feel like sharing with us.
Yes. Well, as a kid, I was really good at the monkey bars. I feel that's relevant and set the metaphoric precedence for my whole life. So, my professional background is as an emotional healing coach, where for the past 15 years, I've worked with people one-on-one as well as retreats, workshops, things like that, where I'm helping people help themselves overcome their stuck pain, self-sabotage, and essentially helping them help themselves bring more meaning into their lives through stepping deeper into their hearts. And about 2.5 years ago, I started making comedy videos as an addition to my YouTube channel, where I had been sharing just straightforward, sincere life advice that's pretty boring, but hopefully pretty informative. And I went through a rite of passage, really, where I gave myself permission to let my humor come out professionally. And I thought that would be bad for business. That's why it took me so long. However, it's sort of like, wow, I can't keep betraying myself any longer. So even though I think it's not going to be a good thing, I've got to do it. Kind of like the creative inspiration is, I need to share my perspectives through my humor. So that's what I did. And it turned out I was dead wrong. It was really good for business and opened up, the comedy opened up more doors and opportunities than I could have ever imagined. I mean, it not only got my client's schedule more full than I can handle, but, I think it was about 6 months ago, I finally had to give up my whole client practice, which was the client practice was a great thing, but I was called to give it up in order to embrace things that are greater for me now. So there's been a whole avalanche of wonder that's happened for me after giving myself permission to be more true to me and letting my comedy come out. And and just to be real, I'm not just a comedian. That's the comedian is a part of me. It's one of the parts that helps make the whole of me.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear you about really having to let your own personality out. I've struggled with the same kind of thing because I have a very soft, relaxed personality. At the same time, I love to dance around in my room and, yell and scream. And I like to listen to like Enya and then like some heavy metal. So I'm like, all right, well, how do I combine these two? And how do I pick one? But the thing is, no, you don't pick one. You just go with that's who you are. That's why people love your personality and they really get to be on your side and they just love you who you are.
Yeah, I love that idea of looking at the aspects of our personality, the parts of ourself, and realizing like what a liberation to say, like, I don't have to pick one. These things aren't mutually exclusive. I can say yes to all of them. And my experience is at different times, one might be more active than another. Like if I'm making a comedy video, my comedic self is more active in that moment than my sincere self, my intimate self, my shy self, my vulnerable self. It might be taking up 90% of my conscious bandwidth. And then when I'm talking with my girlfriend, it might be like, wow, now it's 90% my intimate self. So yeah, I think that's a great lesson you mentioned. You don't have to pick one. And I think that allows us to be very dynamic, where I think it's just like our bodies. Like hopefully we say yes to the whole thing. We don't look at our legs and our arms and like, okay, which ones am I going to cut off and say no to? all right, I'll cut my arms off and I'll say yes to my legs because I want to go running. It's like, no, like let's let our whole body be there. But if we're going out running, yes, our legs will be more active then. And then if we're sitting on our computer using our fingers, okay, now my fingers are more active. But I think being able to be dynamic, it lets life be richer. But when we try to be static and super predictable all the time so that we can have this delusional sense of control, not that we're ever in control, but we love to be, delusional enough to believe we're in control, then we try to be mutually exclusive. I will be one thing so I can feel in control and life will be predictable. We're many things. I think we're more things than we know of.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's kind of boring to just be one or the other. I really feel like there's still a lot of people out there trying to figure that out. And by me doing this show and sharing both sides of my personality, because, one show I might say a lot of, bad words, and the other show's kind of straightforward information. And, it depends on the topic. It depends if I have a guest. Depends on, the music that I might have listened to before or experiences that I had. I let it flow out naturally, and whatever happens, happens. But like you said, sometimes you need to be more serious, although I don't really like to ever be serious. There'll be parts.
Yeah. I have a serious thought about the word serious. I too don't like to be serious.
Really?
Yeah. Anything else earth-shattering I should tell you? I got red hair. I think the word sincerity, being sincere, is just to sound airy-fairy. I think that's a higher vibrational place to be. What serious means to me is constricting, hypervigilant, controlling, a need for certainty. So to me, being serious, it comes from a very fear-based mindset. Yet I think being sincere means, okay, I might not be joking around, which is great. If I'm always joking around, it means I'm manic. I have a personality disorder. But there's times when I want to be very sincere. But being sincere means I can be in a state of surrender, openness, whereas seriousness, it's constricted, it's closed down, and it creates disconnection in my experience, where sincerity creates connection. So if I go to a funeral, like, I'm not going to be making jokes. Hopefully I can be very sincere rather than serious or joking around. And if I'm having a heartfelt conversation with my girlfriend, I don't want to deflect from intimacy with humor. So I'll want to be very sincere. So I'm doing my best to not only wipe serious out of my vocabulary, but more importantly, trying to wipe it out of my mindset and way of being. I guess I'm probably taking it too seriously. Trying to not be serious, I'm taking that too seriously.
It sounds
Damn it, they got me. It's the Illuminati. Damn it.
So you said that you're not doing the private coaching anymore. Obviously, you've just been exploding with stuff. So now tell me, what exactly is it that you're doing? Are you just making the videos? Like, what is going on in JP's life right now, besides the book that we'll get into?
So I watch 9 hours of soap operas every day, and then 3 hours of news, because I hate to feel peaceful. So I want to worry about things severely. So I make sure at least a few hours of news so that
you can be serious.
Absolutely. There's nothing good happening in the world, and there's no hope. That's important. So we can have world peace. Yeah. So there's, my life, my daily tasks. It's a collection of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's an eclectic collection. I don't know what eclectic means, but it just felt good to use that word. So, I'm scripting videos, making videos, and by no means is that all I do. It's ideally I'm making one video a week. So that's maybe add it all up like a full day's work on video, kind of spread out over a couple days. I'm doing a ton of interviews as a way of I really enjoy it. And it's also a nice way to hopefully give something. And it's also a nice way, hidden agendas exposed, of me getting more exposure. And, I sort of am my business. So getting my business more exposure. What the hell else do I do? I've been doing, for the past couple months, or a few months maybe, since my book was released, I've been doing a lot of book touring, putting on shows, using the book as an excuse to put on shows where I'm doing stand-up comedy, stand-up authenticity, speaking at other events. I've got a second leg of my book tour starting tomorrow, I think. And so ton of travel. And then on top of that, my management, they're planning a more formal comedy tour for this late fall. And then my book publisher, Sounds True, we've got more projects in the works. I've got a meeting on our next project. It'll be a video project. That meeting's today. So and then I try to take care of myself too.
You have time for that?
I tell myself I have time.
It sounds like you had more time before you were doing the comedy.
Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So you like to take care of yourself less and do more comedy, it sounds like.
Absolutely. I think self-deprecation and neglect is a powerful way to build health. And then I will say, Lauren Jean, because I think we juice like another hour's worth of answer out of this one question. As of January, I'm in a new relationship with my beautiful girlfriend, Amber, and it's so clear to me to prioritize our relationship. So there is time devoted to that relationship on a daily basis, I'm always devoted to it, but time in the sense of we are prioritizing our company with each other right now. And my lovely lady, she's very purpose-driven, owns her own business, runs retreats, and so she's very much working hard too. So we're so compatible. So a couple nights ago, we were both up till 1 a.m. doing our work stuff, which also feels like play. So that makes it easy for us to prioritize each other. We understand sometimes we're going to be working super long hours, and other times it's much more fluid to have quote unquote free time with each other. I think I'm done rambling about that question.
That was a great answer, though. Definitely a great answer.
Thank you for that validation. I was so insecure that it might not have been great.
Yes.
I'm actually still blacked out. I was so insecure and shameful about myself.
And trying to be too serious all at the same time. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into your book, because like I said, I have the audio version. I really need to get the print version, because trying to listen to you, I don't want to say ramble, but it almost sounded like rambling when I was listening to it, with you repeating the same words over and over. And maybe you can give an example, because I can't think of an example because I was so confused listening to it.
Yeah.
But wow.
I like you're really selling the audio book. Okay, JP, you were rambling. It's confusing. It's so crappy. And I'm not going to listen to it.
I was actually laughing. I was laughing, when I was understanding it, because I had to go back and listen. But when I actually listened to it, everything that you said made sense. Does that make sense?
I hope so. It'd be weird. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, and I, all kidding aside, serious now, I totally get what you're saying with the confusing parts. The way I wrote the book, and oftentimes the way I speak in videos, it's very paradoxical, where I'm doing my best to turn common beliefs into themselves so that they can essentially implode, so that we can go beyond those common beliefs. And one of the aspects of a paradox is it's confusing. It's part of its nature. And in my opinion, confusion is a very powerful step to growth, because it means we're letting go of the certainty of some kind of belief. And now our mind is searching for something more true to believe, but the space in between the old and the new that's called confusion. It's a mysterious place to be. So that's one of the reasons why I use a lot of paradoxes, because it creates the separation between something old and something newer for us, and confusion is a consequence of that. So I absolutely love it. And by the way, if I was just a terrible writer and it's like, this is so incoherent that it's confusing, I'll use this rationalization. But now I'm just coming from the point of view that says, no, I'm so intentional and mindful as a writer. Of course, there's going to be parts that are confusing.
I love that though, because like I've always questioned things in my mind, because I do have this personality that's very much out there. I'm always seen as like the black sheep everywhere I go. And I do love it because I'm always questioning everything in my mind, and I'm really looking into deeper things now. And I'm even I started studying quantum physics because I'm just so...
Talk about confusing.
Yeah, really. So I'll probably start to understand you better now that I'm studying this. But I've always questioned so many things that happen, and I was never the one to come out and say it. And I feel like you're that person who's actually coming out and putting it in people's faces, and to actually see that happen, and for me to watch you do all this stuff, I was like, it's just so in line with everything that I believe. And that's why I really felt inclined to reach out to you. Besides the fact that you have the humor to go with it, I was just telling myself, I have to get this book. Like, this book is just calling to me, because everything about it is totally what I believe needs to be out there to sort of, make the world more humorous and have people laugh about themselves and other things, because we all have these beliefs. Yeah. And they're true, but to hear them from a humorous point of view, that's what makes it so powerful. Definitely makes it so much more powerful.
Yeah, well, thank you. I think humor allows a deeper message to go in for consideration, rather than when things are spoken to us, the same message spoken to us in a straightforward, direct way. Like, screw it. We're all humans. We're going to get psychologically defensive. Even if we don't act defensive, a lot of times just our psyche, it puts up a wall. It's like, yeah, I don't want to believe anything new, because then I'd have to reorient my mindset, and I'd lose my center of gravity, my sense of control over the world. So I think there's a part of us that craves, let's learn something new and grow and expand. And then there's a fear-based part of us that says, let's not, so we can feel safe instead of expansive. And I love your question everything. There's probably a lot of wise people throughout the ages have said, the path to enlightenment is to question everything. And maybe we can even question, should we question everything? That probably deserves to be questioned too. And I think questioning everything from a heart set of curiosity rather than interrogating. Questions can be used as a way of intimidating people and discounting the matter that we're actually questioning. But if we can truly come from a curious place, like, our world expands. You say curiosity killed the cat, but screw the cat. I think it enlivens the human heart and soul. I think the mind's need for certainty is what cages who we really are. But the heart's desire for curiosity, I think, sets us free.
Yeah, it definitely sets us free. And it really does force you to think about the whys of certain things. And it is scary. It's scary as hell to start thinking differently, to, open your mind to that, to something that's unknown, to something that's just, like you said, unsafe or out of control. And I do a lot of things now where I just let go of control. I used to be very much a control freak. And since my divorce, I kind of just threw everything up in the air, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm not going to care what anyone says. And that's hard to do. And it took years, still working on it, but it just feels so much better. And that's why I think I'm just kind of out there. And a lot of my daughter's friends, parents, they look at me, but they tell me that they really appreciate everything, because my daughter and I have such a strong bond, because I am instilling my beliefs into her, not pushing them, but I want her to know I don't hide things. I don't try to cover things up. And, sometimes she might hear me say a word that, a little kid's not supposed to hear. And she covers her ears. And I'm like, it's okay. You're not out there saying it to your friends, but you know that it exists. And when you hear it from somewhere else, I don't want you to be scared. Yeah. So teaching the kids the same thing, because I feel like I was very much protected as a child, and to learn these things when you're a child so that you can make your own decisions about things is really important for me. And I think that's why I have such a strong bond with my daughter, and she feels like she's my best friend because I can share that with her. So I don't want her to be afraid of what life is about to throw her when she gets older.
I love that. And to me, your message of let go of control, that if we were oversimplifying it, and maybe it deserves to be oversimplified, I would dare say the single most ingredient for a good quality of life is letting go of control. I think the more we control, the more we resist what life is, what we are, rather than allowing it to be. We're trying to make things something they're not. And I think control always creates disconnection between us and other people and between us and ourselves. So being able to be more in a mindset of surrender and acceptance, that to me is what gives us a quality of life, a good quality of life. And I would dare say you said it well when you said it's hard. I get the people pleasing thing about not caring what other people think. Like, those words are so easy to say, but to actually embody that and not act in a way where we're trying to manipulate what people think of us, even though honestly we still do care. Like that's fire we have to go through. Yet if we don't go through it, then it means we're always going to be acting out this horrible control drama where we're trying to manage how people experience us. Like, wow. Enjoy that exhausting life. Enjoy your unwillingness to ever be yourself because you're always trying to be what you think other people want you to be. But having the courage to say, you know what, I'm going to do me today. And it will be scary because my mind will run rampant stories about what this person will think of me, and I'll have a fearful reaction, might even feel shame like I'm not good enough. But if we can honor ourselves and go forward anyway, rather than dishonoring ourselves for the sake of avoiding those emotions, we never present ourselves. We just prevent what we think is going to make people like us. That's a trap, in my opinion. It's a seductive trap because it's comfortable and it feels very hollow and meaningless after we've done it for too long, in my opinion.
Yes, I did it for way too long. And I just want to add one more thing onto this, not to extend this conversation, but I really feel like the main key, the main point that got me to get out of that was just being aware of every time I was doing it. Every time that I would do something to make someone else happy that made me feel pretty shitty, I would just tell myself that. And just making that a habit of the awareness is really important.
I agree 100%. What I heard you say is the worst form of self-betrayal is when we betray ourselves and don't even know it. It means we're going to keep doing it and suffering the consequences. But there's a wise man and a wise woman named Lauren Jean who just echoed what the wise man named Ram Dass once said, which is, you can't get out of a jail you don't know you're in. The awareness to know what is the jail that I construct around thyself, because we all construct jails. And the scary thing is the bars are made out of invisible material. So we're in the damn thing, but we don't see it. So we've got to feel around and become aware of like, okay, what is the jail that I put around myself? We don't need to be victims and say, well, I have to do this for people like me. This is the way my parents thought. No, we can be self-responsible instead of the victim.
Yeah, because when you're the victim, it's very hard to get out of that victimized state.
Yeah.
And that just sucks.
To me, the victimized state is where we get a sense of power through being powerless. And
Yes.
we're as a victim, we're really good at dwelling on how bad it is. We're maybe really good at asking for help and really good at resisting help so we can prove how helpless we are, so that we can prove we're a victim, so that we can prove we're powerless, so that we can feel a fleeting sense of power, because we are so in control of how powerless we are.
Yes.
I think we all deserve better than being a victim. And back to the doctrine of your awareness, so many of us act out with the energy and the patterns of a victim. And first, most powerful step is become aware of it. Like, when do we catch ourselves on the phone with a friend or a conversation just talking about like how bad things are? What did they do to me now? What is Trump doing to me now? What is the government doing to me? What did my family do to me? What's my employer doing to me? I just noticed like how much are we playing the role of a victim? And it's like, let's not shame ourselves and victimize ourselves for being a victim. Let's become aware of it and hopefully understand and have compassion for it. And maybe we'll still do it, but at least we'll be aware of it.
Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, the awareness and everything you just said. Absolutely. It's just be done with it. Why be miserable? Why be miserable? But
Quite good, curious question.
yeah, think about it. Do we need to think about it? Does it make sense?
Yeah, I would dare say it probably doesn't make logical sense, but I think there's probably an emotional premise rather than a logical premise why some of us wiggle into the unconscious patterns of being the victim or the controlling people pleaser or the controlling people displeaser if we're defiant.
Yeah, it could go either way. Either way. All right, cool. Well, I have 3 questions for you before we end, and this could be quick answers. They don't have to go into detail, just 3 things that I think people might want to know about you.
I'll do 25 minutes on each answer just because I want to be defiant to the quick answer thing.
Okay.
So I'm in control, not you, Lauren Jean.
All right, so the first thing is something we'd be surprised to know about you.
What comes to my mind is when I was 17, I did a teenage bodybuilding competition.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Yes, that's something I didn't know about you. Okay, next one. Something you're currently struggling with.
Yes. So a big time struggle, not worshiping the part of me that gets its emotional needs met by being productive. So said in a slightly more elegant way, this struggle that I'm working on, I think having some success with, far from perfect, the struggle is not taking manic action, not taking inaction, but taking heart alignment action. It's very easy for me to be manically active all day so that I feel this codependent sense of I'm productive, therefore like my father would approve or whatever. And there is so much of that manic action that's, if it seems important, like I have all the stories in my head, like why this is important, but is it aligned with my heart? Not what my head says I need to do in order to be worthy in this world, but what's aligned with my heart. So listening to my heart, taking heart alignment action, and letting non-heart alignment action fall away it's a struggle, and it's a damn meaningful struggle. It's worth the challenge for me.
Yes, and you know how you start with that? Awareness.
Yep, absolutely. Why am I being manic active? Making these things that are not a priority, a priority.
Yes, but I can definitely align with that answer. All right, and next.
I'm glad I'm not the only dysfunctional one on this line.
No, not at all. I really believe that the whole world is dysfunctional in that way.
Yeah, and I think awareness of our dysfunction is paradoxically what makes us more functional. I think our dysfunction holds the very seed of function. We just have to become aware of it and not be so self-identified with it and not be so controlled by it. And awareness is what allows the seed to germinate into something greater than what just the seed is. But we get what's inside the seed, which is maybe functionality hidden inside the hard shell of dysfunctionality.
Well said.
Oh, thank you. I'm just reading off the script you sent me, Lauren Jean.
Okay, good. I'm glad it got to you in time. Okay. All right. The last question is, what is your favorite bad thing to do?
Favorite bad thing. I'm not going to make any criminals or convicts happy on this because it's probably not. But I'm going to go with drinking more coffee than my body wants to have. I enjoy the taste of coffee, and I also get an emotional comfort from it in a completely dysfunctional way, like just sort of self-medication kind of thing. So yeah, I would say drinking coffee is my favorite bad thing to do, even though my body and my mind pay a bit of a price. I mean, it's not catastrophic, but it's palpable. Like I'll feel just a little too amped up and physiologically stressed in my body, and my mind feels a little less tranquil.
So you're not aligned with it in your heart.
No, but I love to manically drink too much coffee. My heart is very aligned with not being aligned with it, if I need to justify myself.
As long as because that's your struggle, so that you're working on currently.
Yeah, strength comes from struggle. So I feel like if I didn't struggle with this, I wouldn't be making myself stronger. So I think it's a good idea to use that as a huge excuse for drinking more coffee than I should.
Well, it sounds like a damn good excuse. I definitely like that.
Yeah, I've worked hard on creating an excuse that I would actually believe.
Well, it's a good one. Definitely a good one. I want to thank you so much for being here. This was a great conversation. And just remind people, well, how about this? Because I gave everyone the links in the beginning. Tell us one place, just one place where you want everyone to go and check you out.
Yeah, I'd say either my Facebook page or YouTube channel. That I'm very active putting videos up on both of those. And the handle for each is Awaken with JP.
Great. And where can we find your book?
It is on Amazon. It's in Barnes and Nobles. Those are probably the best places, most predictable places to find it.
Yes. Well, I had to ask, but I'm assuming people would know where to find it. I just had to ask.
It'd be funny if someone's like, I have no idea where to buy a book. What do I do? Do I go to the post office for that?
Maybe. You could try. Well, thank you so much for being here, and I wish you the best of luck on the rest of your book tour. And it was a pleasure speaking with you today.
Same with me, Lauren Jean. You're an absolute delight. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, too. You are also a delight.
Thank you so much for being here. I hope you got tons of useful information out of the show today. If you want to grab the resources and links that you have heard in the show, you can go to the blogcast section on my website at thelaurenjean.com. Or if you just want to listen to the pretty pod player, you can check out the podcast tab on the website. Again, that's www.thelaurenjean.com. Talk to you guys next week.